Everyone, welcome aboard. Thanks for tuning in. Today is June 8th, 2019, and it's about 6:25 p.m. It's a Saturday. In for a little treat, so we're gonna have somebody do a Q&A with us in regards to tiny home living. She's doing a report in regards to tiny homes, and I thought that it'd be a great opportunity to just share a little bit with her, and take advantage of the content that we're going to be able to create from this Q&A session. So I'll give her a call shortly, and we'll take it from there.
Okay, I'll start off with my first question.
Okay, awesome.
So what made you decide to live in a tiny house?
Oh, well, there's many reasons. I guess the first thing was that we were house hunting, and everything just seemed to be either too far-fetched as far as geographically or financially. And we were fortunate enough to come across this idea just, I guess, by YouTube surfing, and came across links to tiny homes and things of that nature. So we just decided to look into it. I guess it was just the fact that this whole process and the time it took to search for properties, this whole area of tiny homes, and the downsizing movement kind of just hit home, and we said, hey, you know what, might be a feasible thing to kind of tackle. So we just jumped right in. So I guess the focus point on that was that geographically and financially, it just wasn't feasible to do with the traditional picket fence and home.
Okay. So what has been your favorite thing about living in a tiny house?
Oh gosh, it's we're a little over 2 months in, and there's been many things. It's brought both myself and my girl so much closer together. That's definitely a plus. Things have actually gotten a lot easier as far as maintenance and any kind of cost that might be associated with living tiny. They've all kind of been downsized, which is a real bonus. It was one of the things that we looked into, and it is indeed fact. So again, just economically, it made a lot of sense. Another thing was that maintenance. It was we spent 15 minutes maybe just cleaning up the entire place, and we're done. And it just frees up a lot of time to do other things, and that was actually a great welcome sight. So the freedom from just maintenance, and I guess the freedom from just the overburdening financial cost of anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. How many square feet is your house? Is your home?
Oh, okay. So the measurement of the home is 30 feet long by 8.5 wide, and it's 13.5 feet in height. But if we're doing it based upon that measurement, what are we looking at? Just under about 350 square feet of livable space.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So if you want to take into comparison, I guess it'd be like the equivalent of maybe a studio apartment.
Yeah. Are you experiencing any legal obstacles, or have you in the past?
Legal obstacles? No, not at all. Prior to doing all this, that was definitely a main concern that was brought up by a lot of forums and people who were building and so forth. They did say to look into, the legalities of it, any type of county or state code, and after doing much research, there wasn't a whole lot of information to work with. what we looked at was that, you know, specifically tiny homes are categorized as an RV because it's on wheels, and you know we're able to transport and make it mobile, which categorized as an RV. Now, according to state law and county law, we found that, you know, RVs were able to be parked in driveways. They were able to be parked in backyards. They were just able to be on personal property. So I guess if you want to think about it, that was in essence the loophole to the system. If anything, I mean, we are mobile and on wheels, so we can always just get up and, you know, relocate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Plus, there are other options as well. So, I mean, suppose you can't find land or anything, there's always the option of, you know, parks, things of that nature. You know, you can always find land that you can buy that you can park it on. So, I mean, there's other options. You just have to take the time to explore.
Yeah. Okay. What has been your least favorite thing or most negative experience you've had living in a tiny house?
I think right off the bat, because we downsized and the space has gotten smaller, we don't necessarily have specific rooms that are partitioned, such as, you know, if you were to go from the living room to, you know, the kitchen, you would have like a door, or if you went from the bedroom to the bathroom, you'd have a door. Everything is pretty much open floor plan. So
Yeah.
I'm the kind of person where I like to wake up a lot earlier, and, you know, my girl, she likes to sleep in a little bit later. So when that happens and I wake up, you know, she'd hear the keyboard clacking as I'm checking my emails. Or, you know, if I'm making coffee, she'll hear the coffee machine running, and, you know, that it's just those things. But, you know, it's probably just something that, you know, like a little small hurdle where you have to just get through. Like, it becomes customary. Like,
Yeah.
you're living on a busy street, and, you know, when you first move in, you realize, oh God, you know, that's a busy intersection, or that's a busy street, and then after you kind of just get used to it, you block it out. So hopefully we'll get to that point, but it is relatively early, and I think that's kind of what annoys her the most.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember telling you in the email that I'm doing this for like a technical. I was wondering, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your experience and decision to live in a tiny house?
Oh gosh. Okay. I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer. After we made the transition, and well, it's been 2 months now, so I'm speaking from 2 months worth of experience. I've been more than satisfied. Everything somehow, one way or another, just kind of worked out, so we're pretty happy about that. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'd say right now it's probably a 9.5. And the only reason that we're at a 9.5 is because the home itself is perfect. We just have to put in the time and sweat to, you know, decorate the outdoors that's around the home, such as, you know, putting up a garden and so forth. And, you know, I guess when you think of it in terms of work, it can't be perfect because now you got to put in the work to decorate the place, to make it outside nice. Yeah, we have ideas of, like, you know, maybe a patio deck, you know, maybe a balcony, things of that nature. So I'm going to leave out that 0.5 so we have room for growth.
Okay.
Yeah. But if it's just the home and the way it was decorated and how we're living in it, oh yeah, I mean, like, it's top notch right now.
Yeah. Oh, and also, would you say that you're saving a great amount of money, enough money, or you're not saving money living in a tiny house versus a larger house?
Right. Let me kind of give you how I would analyze it. With the start of it, obviously there's a lot of pre-planning. There's a lot of you know, startup expenses, or if not costs, things such as, you know, paying the builder, prepping the land, things like that. There's always upfront cost that comes with it. it was in in relative terms, it was a relatively large outlay of cash to get it started. But once we
Mhm.
moved in, and the major obstacles such as making the plumbing work, the electrical,
Mhm.
having the land prepped, laying out concrete or what have you. Yeah, those were all the major outlays that we had to contend with uh, to make it
Mhm.
right. But that
Yeah.
was pretty much all within the first month and a half. So, we're pretty much all done with that. But again, speaking from, I guess, 2 months worth of living here, um,
Mhm.
since then, excluding the initial outlay or the initial startup cost,
Mhm.
yeah, things have been very minimal. We're we're probably, I would say, able to maybe save an extra 20 to 25% more than if when we were still renting an apartment.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, if there's any savvy investors out there that uh, you're saving an extra 25%, and you're able to make something or make good use of that extra 25%, yeah, I think that leads to a whole lot of happiness.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I know you did say that you feel like you've gotten closer with your girl.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, yeah, her name's
this
Josephine,
was.
by the way. I wanted to just give her a shout out. So she's recording us right now. So
Yeah. Do you feel like you've gotten closer with your family and friends living more simply as well?
hmm. I do see them a lot more often. It's probably because we're located within closer proximity. So as far as being close, I don't think much has really changed there. It's just
Mhm.
our living conditions and style of living has changed. But as far as relationship with family, there's really no difference because we're all so close anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, let's say for example, you maybe commute, I don't know, half an hour to an hour to go to school, and then you come home, or and you dorm, and you come home on the weekends, and you see your parents to do the laundry. Yeah, it's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you miss them, but then when you come home, you see them. I say, like, you've only been gone a week.
Yeah. Okay. Is it empowering to know how much your decision is positively impacting the environment?
Okay. Um, I guess, I guess that's in terms of, I guess, like utilizing resources such as, I guess, electricity, water, gas, things of that nature.
Mhm.
Okay. Y- Now that we're living in a tiny home, we're definitely more water wise. That's for sure. So from a conscious
Yeah.
level, that that's definitely ranked way up there. We're better at trying to conserve water as far as our water usage. We do have
Mhm.
specific like facilities such as like a composting toilet and what have you that allows us to save a lot more water as well. Um, as
Mhm.
far as electricity goes, the entire home was built with LEDs, which I guess based upon the research I've done, LEDs in comparison to like candlescent lights or halogen lamps were something like over 60% better efficiency. So we're glad to do our part on that.
Oh.
Yeah. Um, and then as far as gas goes, I mean we're hooked up to propane. The only time we really use hot water is just for showers or if not doing the dishes. And ooh, I want to say that in comparison to a residential home, we're probably using about maybe about $10 in propane a month. Um,
Mhm.
in comparison to the apartment that we did stay at, it was more along the lines of I guess 18 to 20. So I guess the
Okay.
size of the living area does make an impact. So yeah, I mean all across the board, water wise, electricity and gas use has all been down at least 50%. So I would say that's pretty significant as far as being having a better environmental impact.
Yeah. That was all my questions. Is there anything else about like your tiny house experience that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I mean there's just so many. I mean like we have so many ideas for content that we're looking to to share with the world. And since you're doing this project on tiny homes, I mean I'd love to open up the floor and just allow you to ask me what comes to mind. Like let's say for example, if you were deciding to one day, hey, let's jump in and see what this tiny house movement is all about. What would you want to know?
Okay. I talked to somebody else who had a converted school bus.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. I'm curious, like, what form of tiny house or like alternative living, like alternative dwelling, or like what size do you think, like, would you recommend?
For like a bachelor or a couple, or maybe ones with who are planning on having a family?
Yeah, I guess it depends. Do you like your situation? Are you glad you chose that?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's that's kind of one of those questions where it all depends. Everybody kind of has like a preference. Some people like to be a little bit more mobile and actually, be in a moving home where they can be traveling the world. Or some people just like to have, the home in, the backyard, or, stay at a specific given location for maybe months at a time. So I guess it really depends upon the individual. Our decision to have a tiny home I guess, as opposed to a school bus or, maybe a camper van, was, the decision to have the home, stationary majority of the year. And then as we age, we would then, be a little bit more mobile with it by just towing it to wherever we wanted to go. So, there's going to be other things that, comes into play as well. So, like, if it was a school bus that got converted to a mobile home, there's different things to factor in, such as fuel cost, insurance on the bus, planning out your routes and registration, which is probably absent from a tiny home. So it really depends upon the lifestyle. I think ultimately what you choose is the lifestyle that you want to have over the next, oh gosh, minimally 2 to 5 years. Yeah. But it's an interesting story though. But after this, we are planning on converting one of those LAX shuttle buses. I think they're about 23 to 24 feet long, and we're going to convert that into a shuttle camper and allow us to travel all around the United States. So that's the plan. That'll be the next upcoming adventure.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so that extra 20-25% that we're saving each and every month now going forth, that's the next goal that we're working at. So it's good that from a financial perspective, it's allowing us to put towards the next goal or the next objective or the next getaway. So as long as you're putting away something and planning for the next event and just keep on moving, you'll be in good shape.
Yeah.
Are you doing this research? How do you feel so far? I guess after speaking to me and the individual that had the school bus, which way would you lean towards?
So I'm a first year in college, so I'm currently in the dorm.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
then next year, I'm living in an apartment. But I am really interested in living in a tiny house in the future.
Mm.
And I think the interviews that I've had so far have only made me more interested in it.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, it's definitely something that I would like to do in the future.
well, so prior to selecting the size of our tiny home, which in this case is 30 foot longer, we Airbnb'd to stay in an Airstream. And I know that, from here to San Diego up to, San Francisco, there's plenty of Airbnbs that have tiny home rentals. I mean, we always encourage people that, if the curiosity is there, yeah, take the time, just experience it, because it may be for you, it may not be for you, but that experience that you're gonna get from it, there'll be something in you that triggers it and be like, okay, yeah, I can possibly do this. When we rented an Airbnb for an Airstream, the first hour was like, oh my gosh, this is we're in a like a sardine can. But once you get used to it, I mean, us as human beings, we're very adaptable, and I like to think that once you're put in an environment and you can excel at it, yeah, you can live outside of a camper van, or you can live out of a bus, or you can live outside of a trailer. It's really entirely up to you, because your lifestyle is more important. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, go out and do that. It'll be fun.
Yeah, I think also I'm a civil engineering major, and I'm really interested in like the building process. I think that would be really interesting.
Oh yeah.
To go through.
Yeah.
Either building or converting, one of the two.
When we found this tiny home, I actually took, I want to say, 3 weeks of fine tuning, measuring everything. So yeah, with a tiny home, you get to you're the architect. You get to build it the way how you live, how you operate, how you wake up in the morning, how do you want to use the restroom, you want to dedicate a specific space for a washer, or if you're a big foodie and you like to cook, you can make your kitchen a little bit bigger. The best thing is that you're able to customize it to you, to fit you. You're not buying a home that's cookie cutter. You get to build everything from the inside out, down to the specific dimensions, which which was, I'm not an architect myself, but it was a whole lot of fun. And to see it from pen on paper to it coming to life, oh my gosh, it's I was probably just a few degrees from having tears run down my eyes, because I got to see my baby kind of so it's an experience in its own. So if you were to stay in one, that'd be an experience. If you build it from the ground up, that's an experience. It's something new, being out of the norm. It takes you a little bit outside of the comfort zone, but if it's an interest, oh my gosh, the results and what you feel from the results, it's describable, but it's an amazing feeling. Yeah. Nice. Are you still planning on doing any further interviews with people that might be other than bus life or tiny homes, maybe people who are staying out of sprinter vans?
I haven't considered that, actually. I was kind of doing this report all on tiny houses, but then I've kind of wanted to change it more into like comparing different forms of living.
Okay.
So I definitely would consider doing that, but yeah, I found some people on Instagram that I liked their accounts, and I just sent like some DMs out. I I messaged a couple people on blogs, and a few people have gotten back to me. Like you guys, thank you so much.
Oh, hey, glad to help.
And yeah, it's been really interesting. But no, I haven't gotten any interviews for anything with like van life or anything like that. But I think that would be a nice perspective to have too.
Keep at it, you'll get it. Awesome.
Thank you.
So, I hope that I was able to share, my thoughts and my experience, to you about tiny home living. I hope that, what I shared made sense. And I hope that, through you and I guess your help in writing this report that, we're able to contribute to the tiny home community as well, as far as creating awareness. So I guess with that said, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I guess, if you had any further questions.
I don't think so. I think you answered all of them.
Cool. Awesome. Well, you have my number, and I believe you also have the email address for Josephine. Yeah, don't hesitate to, if there's a question that pops up in your head, we'll do our best to try to answer it. Or if not, just feel free to send a text message. We're pretty good about replying. Like if you have specifics, I guess the one advice that I'd be able to share at the end of all this is whether it's tiny homes or whether it's a school bus conversion or even a sprinter van, just keep asking good questions, and it'll lead you in the right direction. So just keep doing that, and so far you're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. Cool. Well, I guess if you don't have any further questions, hopefully that was helpful, and I'm expecting at least an A- on this report.
Okay.
Only A-?
Yeah, A- is passing. I'd much rather have an A- than a B+.
Okay.
All right.
God.
Yeah, you're allowed to slack a little
Thank
bit. Cool. You have yourself a good one.
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, that ends the conversation. Anything else you want to add before we clock out? Clock out, I guess. Still don't know how to say the word.
This is our first Q&A. I think there'll probably be many more Q&As to come. Either we ask the questions to the general public, hopefully you guys be able to contribute with your comments and suggestions, or further Q&As from people that might have an interest in tiny homes. So we're here to create the awareness of tiny homes as a very viable and economical option to for living. So I guess with that said, feel free to leave comments, suggestions, anything, or if you have ideas for future recordings, by all means, we'll always respond to that. So Simon here, just wanted to thank you for your time in staying out throughout this entire Q&A session. Hopefully what I've said sparks something in you to look further into tiny homes, and enjoy the journey with us as far as tiny home living goes.